For our project, we did Chapter 11, Public Goods and Common Resources. Now, I'm going to take you through a few terms that go with this chapter to help us better understand it. We have excludable goods, such as a movie ticket. Excludable goods, people can be prevented from using the good. And with the movie ticket example, if they don't have money to go to the movie, they're therefore excluded from going to the movie. We have non-excludable goods, which is the exact opposite of the excludable goods. In this case, we use a street light as an example. The street light shines regardless of who's paying for it, because it's a public good, and we'll get into that later. We have rivalrous goods, such as a sandwich. If I were to eat a sandwich, and that was the last sandwich at the restaurant, or the place that I was eating it, the person behind me in line wouldn't be able to get that sandwich. Therefore, it's rivalrous. By me using that good, I diminish it for the person next to me. We have non-rivalrous goods, the opposite of rivalrous goods, such as a painting. As long as you're not paying to get into an art museum or such, a painting can be viewed by many people and have the same pleasure viewing it. One person viewing the painting doesn't diminish it for the rest of us.
So here we're going to talk about private goods. Private goods are products that must be purchased to be consumed, and its consumption by one person prevents another person from consuming it. Private goods are rivalrous and excludable. It's also a competition because one person wants a product that another person also wants. So it's all about competition. If I want this brand new sneaker that just came out and I consume it before you do, then therefore you won't be able to consume that sneaker. Here are some examples: cars, food, and clothes.
And now we have common resources. So a common resource are goods that are non-excludable and rivalrous in consumption. So it means anyone can use it because it's non-excludable, and since it's rivalrous, it means if you use it, it will still reduce the ability for other people to use it. So an example of a common resource would be trees. If trees in the rainforest, if someone cuts down a tree, it prevents someone else from using that or cutting down that tree. And then another example is Krabby Patties. So in SpongeBob SquarePants, if Squidward eats all the Krabby Patties, he's eating those Krabby Patties, so those are his. However, it prevents SpongeBob or Mr. Krabs from eating those Krabby Patties. So along with the common resources is the tragedy of commons. So a tragedy of commons is when a common resource is used more than is desirable from the standpoint of society as a whole. And so the tragedy of commons happens because of an externality, and however it can be solved by the government making sure it's regulated or putting a tax on it. So an example of a tragedy of commons would be in a town they get all their water from a well. And if all the people in town use up all the water and there's none left, that's a tragedy of commons. However, you can turn a common resource into a private good by the town putting a tax on the water and regulating how much they can take up at a time.
Okay, so I'm doing public goods and goods that are neither excludable nor rival in consumption, which means people cannot be prevented from using a public good. Examples of public goods are a beach, using a street lamp at a park, or using a bubbler. And another example of this would be free rider is a person who receives the benefit of a good without paying for it or contributing to it. And then cost-benefit analysis is a study that compares the costs and benefits to society of providing a public good. So lastly, the cost-benefit analysis is a study that compares the costs and benefits to society of providing a public good. An example of this would be putting a stop sign at an intersection and debating if it is worth the cost-benefit of someone's life to prevent fatalities, which it would be worth it.
Next we have club goods. Club goods are not rival, however they are exclusive. So a way to think about it is if a restaurant is serving free food, but they charge you to get in, therefore it's exclusive because the people who can't pay won't be able to get in. But once you're in and they have an unlimited amount of free drinks or food, then it's not rival, because you, by consuming food or drink, you're not preventing anyone else from doing the same thing once they get into the restaurant. Some examples of club goods are Wi-Fi, where to a certain extent, obviously, once you have enough people on it won't work, but you might need a password to get in, making it exclusive, but using Wi-Fi is not rivalrous with other people on that same Wi-Fi. Another example is channel subscriptions. You can purchase a channel, such as a movie channel, to watch movies, but you don't, which makes it exclusive. But by watching those movies, you're not preventing anyone else from enjoying the same movies. And also another example would be private parks. You might have to pay to get in, or you might have to be a member of a country club or something to get into a private park. But once you're in, you're not preventing anyone else from enjoying that same private park on the inside. Oftentimes, club goods are a result from natural monopolies. Natural monopolies are monopolies where it makes more financial sense for there to actually be a monopoly. And oftentimes they're protected by the government. An example of this would be electricity provided to our homes. Electricity, you wouldn't want a bunch of power wires going around the city. Instead, they have one company provided to a bunch of us, regulated by the government.
In conclusion, a good is excludable if it is possible to prevent someone from using it, and a good is rival in consumption if one person's use of a good reduces the other's ability to use it. So we have 4 goods: a private good, a club good, common resources, and public goods. A private good is goods that are both excludable and rival in consumption. A public good are goods that are neither excludable nor rival in consumption. Common resources is a good that is rival in consumption but not excludable. And lastly, we have club goods, goods that are excludable but not rival in consumption.